Good day, fellow champions of inclusion. I am Aaron, and this is the Inclusive Dad Podcast, where we explore inclusion and make it practical. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me in exploring ways we can create a more inclusive world together. You are important, you matter, and you can make a difference. Today, my guest is Kem Frasier. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Why don't you just start us off by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm originally from Bronx, New York, Willis Avenue in particular. I grew up in a low poverty area, but my fifth grade teacher, Miss Pizzacani, I'll never forget her. She encouraged me to not put my mind where I lived, but explore other areas in my mind that I could actually succeed in. I decided that I was not going to go to the neighborhood schools because there was fights and bullies and what have you. So I tested out of that school to go to an art high school in Manhattan. So I was happy to explore my different in surroundings, not stay
Yeah,
there stuck. Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. And so I went on from art and design. I did artistry. I did sculptures. I did a lot of draping for different movie stars and singers like
Hmm.
Diana Ross at Bloomingdale's. I did a little modeling at Mademoiselle many, many years ago.
Cool.
So all features of art I surrounded myself with. Yeah.
That's interesting. And
Mhm.
then you became a teacher at some point. How did you transition from?
Yeah. Well, I've always wanted to help children because kids my age, they were doing drugs or they were having children. And I did not want to wind up like that. When I was 12 years old, they gave me my working papers. And I worked at Harlem Hospital giving kids my own age methadone shots because they were withdrawing while they were in labor.
Wow.
So that taught me quite a bit. So I kind of grew up fast and I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew what I was not going to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. So you currently live in South Carolina. How long ago did you move to South Carolina?
Well, I've lived here off and on for 30 years.
Okay.
I've lived in North Carolina, Charlotte area, Virginia, Maine, of course, New York, and I taught in all these different states.
Sure.
Yeah.
The first question I usually ask my guests is, what is your definition of inclusion?
Inclusion in my particular mind, it means to include people of not just all races, but disabilities, because guess what? We all have disabilities, some seen, some not seen.
Right.
So we're all in the same boat. We're human beings. So inclusion in my mind means everyone.
Yeah, I love that. How about you? Have you always been included?
Not necessarily, no.
Yeah.
No, there were times when I was excluded, but the basis for my exclusion was ridiculous in my mind. So I did not let it affect me. I did not let it penetrate me or make it who I am. I did not let it define me. Yeah.
Yeah. So you said you lived in a lot of different states. Um, was there a lot of differences? How people treated you, or whether or not you were included, depending kind of on which state you're in, or the different cities and stuff. Or
Yes, I would say that. In Maine, beautiful. Although Maine is 90 or was 97% Caucasian, I was treated like family by
hmm,
everyone. They just love people. They're simpler. They're not into a lot of the maybe extra social medias. They're just people. They love
sure,
people. And I taught school up there at Winslow High School, and there's like 15 to a class, and everybody is so kind to one another. I really thought I wasn't part of the earth. I was like, well, what kind of place is this? It's so different and friendly
yeah,
versus coming to the South, it was a little bit different. Yeah.
interesting. What subjects did you teach in school?
I taught at Winslow High School, as I mentioned. I taught geometry
Okay,
at in the Bronx at Stevenson High School. I taught algebra, And then I taught middle school and elementary, all K through college, actually. Yeah.
Wow. What's like your favorite age, or it doesn't really matter to teach?
Um, I like helping kids, but I love ELA,
Okay.
writing, English, language arts. Yes.
Nice.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about your books and about your film projects you got going on.
Well, years ago, as I stated, I worked as a teacher for 18 years, and all I've ever seen was students approach bullies with their fists. There was no other alternative actions they would take. It was always, you hit me and I'm going to hit you back.
Hmm.
That's a lose lose. Nobody wins, everybody's in trouble, and it becomes a domino effect. And sometimes I think some of this is learned behavior by what they see at the home.
Right.
If parents don't solve their problems peacefully, then kids pick up what their actions are and then they imitate it when they have problems on the outside.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so what's the name of your book?
Well, I have a picture of it too. The name of
Okay.
the book is Chandler the Handler, You Can't Bully Me.
Okay.
Yes. And the short film is based on this book that we're getting ready to shoot and we're asking for donations for as well.
Sure. Like when you say what, if you say a short film, like what is the length of a short film, or what's considered
A
a short
short
film?
film would be, it's like a teaser to the feature film with the
Okay.
rest of the Chandler story. It's like maybe 30, 45 minutes.
Okay.
It just gives you a little bit of what the story is about, how Chandler's handling the bullies, and it's totally different from what we see today. Now, realistically speaking, this may not touch every child's heart, but at least there's an alternative. There's
Right.
a choice. And we hope to have this not in just all the school system, but also on some of the streaming channels like Netflix. Children need to see more of that, the positive ways of handling a bully, not just negativity. We
Right.
are inundated with negativity already.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've started to minimize watching the news, or unfollowing people on Facebook. Just like there's too much negative stuff. I can't. If I can tell, I start getting anxious if I watch too much of it. So I've had to like
You
make a
can
conscious choice to step back from it.
you can tell it affects how you feel.
For
Now,
sure.
at the moment, I am a licensed professional counselor.
Okay.
Been doing that for 10 years and in private practice. And
Sure.
I get a lot of children coming in with the effects of bullying,
Right.
how it made them feel suicidal, low self esteem, lost, not wanted. And see, that's the thing we need to cut out. We need to make children feel valued, even the
Right.
bully. The bully don't feel valued. The
Right.
bully would rather have negative attention
Yep.
than not have any attention at all.
For sure.
So they choose that route, but we need to build them up as well as ourselves.
Yeah. So is that kind of how you came up with the idea for your book and short film? Is what you were seeing in your practice? Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
just see so many of this tragic result. Unfortunately, some children have done away with themselves because of bullying
Right.
and at young ages. And that's really uncalled for.
Right. So do you have like can you share one of your tips on like how to, if you have somebody is bullying you, what's something you can do to help with that, and not besides punching them in the face?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think thinking beforehand or looking at the bully's psyche, how the bully is thinking and feeling. What
Hmm.
would make a person want to strike out at another person? That's not natural.
Right.
So they must be hurting pretty bad
Right.
to have to put themselves in that position to get into more trouble just to make them feel like they're alive, to
Right.
make them feel human. That's really sad. So instead of giving them more ammunition and enabling them, do something different. Make them feel wanted. For instance, Chandler, after these bullies steal his bike, he invites them to a baseball game on him. So they're looking at him like, "Are you crazy? We're stealing your bike, and you're trying
Right.
to be nice to us." But eventually, they fall for that. The
Right.
bullies will. They go to the baseball game and they realize, "Hey, this is much more fun than trouble,"
Yeah.
and that could be contagious. We want that to spread.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, to me, what came to mind is like almost like the golden rule: treat others how you want to be treated. So try,
Yeah.
that's how I want to be treated. Invited to a ball game, so I'm going to invite him to a ball game, even though he's being mean to me or has been mean to me. It's still I want to be treated that way. So just because he's treating me poorly doesn't mean I shouldn't, treat him well.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
we're all responsible for our own behaviors.
Yep.
Two wrongs don't make a right. But what's so good about these bullies is that it actually touched their hearts that
Right.
Chandler did this for them, and they bring the bike back to him and apologize.
Sure.
So it may seem like it's la la land, but it will work
Right.
for a lot of people. You just need to try it. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, to me, when you were talking about like bullies and is part of the issue with the bullying, like for me, if somebody's trying to bully me and I don't have a very like high view of myself, I mean, it's going to be easier for them to like make me feel worse. I mean, is part of it too, like trying to help kids, have a better thoughts about themselves, higher self-esteem. Is that part of it too?
You know, that's a good point, good question, because a child should start to feel better about themselves or good about themselves from childhood in the home life.
Right. Yeah.
That's what builds the child up. It's how the parents are doing their job,
Yeah.
raising them, making them feel secure, teaching them how to do the right thing and not be afraid of what others think.
Yeah.
See, they have their fist up because they're afraid to be called a coward or a sissy or whatever.
Right.
We're not That child should not be concerned with what others think, but what they think of themselves and
Right.
what they could live with.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, when I was growing up, my family, we never talked about anything. So that was something just always bottling up the feelings, not talking about how, somebody was, I mean, also we didn't really, we didn't call it bullying when I was growing up, but just never talking about stuff, which wasn't good for me. And the whole thing about caring what other people think, still, I'm still working on that one. Like, I wish I would have learned a long time ago not to care what other people think, because that would have helped me out a lot. Because even I'm 47 and I still have trouble sometimes. Like, should I do this? What is somebody going to think? It's like, you're 47. Who cares? Just do what you think. Just do what you think is right. They're going to think what they want to anyway. Just do it.
They are. But you know what? It's natural. It's
Yeah.
natural for us to want approval from others.
Yep.
But we have to remember, you have to identify with who you are inside
Yep.
and make sure you can approve of yourself
Yep.
first. That's what counts.
Right.
You see, and being a leader, not a follower. Everybody's got their fist up with the bullies. How about doing something different like Chandler did? And that's what we want to put in all the school systems. We need the kids to really think, be thinkers, not just react or be impulsive and get themselves into trouble. That's a no win. It's going nowhere, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Did you go to church growing up, or what role does faith play in your life?
Well, my mom was my safe everything because she was a Southern mom. She's from
Yep.
South Carolina, and she kept us safe. There was two girls, and I was the baby girl, and two boys. Now, 8 o'clock, get up off the stoop. You're not going to be with friends or anyone else at 8 o'clock, no matter if it's sun up. Too bad, because that's when all the trouble starts.
Right.
Drive-by shooting, everybody's hanging out doing drugs. My mother said, no, before I let the streets take you out, guess what? I'll do it. Of course, she's kidding, but
Right.
she's firm and loving, very
Yep.
loving. You see? And you know what? We can't be afraid to be parents. We're not
Right.
abusers. What
Yep.
we are doing is we're trying to help them stay on that narrow path.
Yep.
You see? And that is very difficult today because you got social media, you have all this influence going on. Staying on the narrow path is very difficult. That's why kids need their parents.
Yeah, for sure. Let's say a kid, their like their home life is not good, and their parents aren't that, teaching them those things. Like, what are, I mean, what can other adults in the kid's life do to help the kid? Maybe teachers or coaches or just
Yeah,
neighbors help them.
teachers, coaches, other relatives, they can pitch in, especially if you see something, say something. If
Yeah,
you see a child going down the wrong path, you see a child very depressed and maybe not opening up, communication is everything. The child should be able to talk about
right,
anything with their loved ones. That open door is very important.
right.
You know, Unwittingly, some parents close that door, and it's hard to get it back open once it's closed.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any kids?
I have three. My
Three.
my youngest is 41,
Okay.
and then I have a 46-year-old and a 48-year-old.
Okay.
I have five grandchildren. Yeah, and they
Congratulations.
range from 5 to 18. Mhm.
That's a pretty good range. Five
Yeah,
to 18. Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome. What do you do for fun?
Read and write.
Reading, right? Okay.
I like music too, though. I
Sure.
like to dance. Yeah.
Who's your favorite artist? Music artist?
I like he's not alive anymore, but and I can't think of his name. But I love Diana Ross. I love the oldies. I love Luther Vandross. I love Anita Baker. I like jazz and yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you go to concerts at all, or not really?
What's that?
Do you go to concerts?
Not
No.
in South Carolina so much, but
Okay.
when I lived in Charlotte, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who have you seen in concert?
Who did I see? Maxwell. Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, he talks. His songs revolve around giving women respect,
Okay.
and I like things like that.
Sure.
Yeah, it's sorely needed in the world that we live in. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We
Mhm.
actually, so we live in Minnesota, and we flew. Let's see, it'd be 3 years ago, July. We flew to Charlotte to see Garth Brooks at the
Okay.
Carolina Panther football stadium. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, that is nice. Now in New York, growing up, we would go to the Apollo Theater every week. We
Okay.
see Billy Stewart, all Diana Ross,
Yeah.
all of the stars, what we call them stars back
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
That's
But
pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It
Yeah,
was
we go to a lot of concerts. I've seen Elton John 4 times.
oh
I've seen the Eagles 4 times.
wow, I like the Eagles. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. My dad, my dad. We grew up listening to like classic rock, so the Eagles and all that stuff. We listened to a lot. So I've been to a couple Eagles concerts with my dad, which is kind of fun to go listen to those guys. So
Very nice. Yeah.
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 How do you think we can use empathy to be more inclusive?
Well, and that's something that parents could teach their children by example and by, just everyday situations, how to put yourself in somebody else's shoes
Right,
and start feeling what they're feeling. And not a quick thing, not a mental thing, but an emotional
right,
to put yourself emotionally in that person's shoes, you know, like the bully. Find out where the bully's coming from. Because
right,
that bully, believe it or not, he may sound big and tough, but he's scared inside.
right.
He's hurting. He needs real friends, someone that cares.
Yeah. What is one tip you can share to help the listeners be more inclusive today? So just something anybody can do today to be more inclusive.
I think the first step, or at least a little bit of a head start, would be to look at this film,
Okay. Yeah.
to make sure your child look at it in schools, make sure it's put in all the schools nationwide, because it is a teaching tool, but yet it has a little bit of humor in it as well.
Sure.
So there's a lot of good things that can come out of watching films like that instead of being inundated with other things,
Yeah,
which may be a factor in causing the bully attitude.
for sure. Have you like come across any other films similar maybe to yours that talk about bullying that help kids see what bullying is and how to work through it, or not really?
Well, I haven't talked to a lot of teachers. Now, parents, yes.
Okay.
Parents are having a hard time with their children, especially on the bus. On the bus is a nightmare.
Right.
There's all kinds of bullying, and the fact that in some buses, on some buses, there's different age level, which makes it even worse.
Right.
So that child of yours that's coming off that bus going into the classroom is already starting his day feeling jilted, rather, I should say,
Yeah.
dejected, because they've
Yeah.
been, slaughtered with a bunch of negative words and put
Right.
down this and called names. That's not a good feeling, and everybody wants to feel good. That's the human way.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Do you want to share where the best place is for everybody to connect with you and how they can, help out with the film or?
Well, the website is chandlerthehandlermovie.com.
Okay.
You can donate there. Any amount is great. It just doesn't matter. But read about how Chandler directs his life. There's a little bit of a synopsis on the website too. But again, the website is chandlerthehandlermovie.com.
Awesome. That's great. Is there anything else you want to talk about that we haven't talked about? We covered quite a bit.
No, I think that's it. I'm just very excited for this film to be everywhere in
Yeah.
everybody's TV, on everybody's television, at every
Yeah.
school, everywhere. And I want the buzz to be about anti-bullying. I want
Yeah.
it to be a movement.
Yeah. That's
So
great.
I need you parents and teachers to support it.
Absolutely. I will make sure I put all the links in social media posts that go out and in the show notes and stuff so everybody can
Thank you.
find it.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Are you ready for the last question?
Yeah.
Do you like spam lunch meat? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Yay. I live in Austin, Minnesota, where they make spam and where the spam museum is located. So I've been asking all my guests if they like
Okay.
spam.
That's cute. I like that. That's
So
cute.
yeah, it's kind of fun just to like pop it on everybody and see the reactions because usually it's pretty strong yes or a pretty strong no. There's not really a lot of middle ground. So
Yeah,
kind of fun
that's true. That is true.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. To those listening, thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey. It is truly an honor. Please join the podcast newsletter by clicking on the link in the episode description to keep up with the latest episode. Together, we can make the world more inclusive. Until next time, stay empowered and be a champion for inclusion.